Hello, boys and girls. Today we're going to answer a question that is going to help you when you go do internet research. Our question today is, what is copyright law? You probably haven't heard of copyright before, but today we're going to learn all the important things about it. Now, let's start with a story. This will help us understand what we're talking about, and we will get to find out how to fix the story at the end. Our story says, Zoe writes a story for a class assignment. She records a video of herself reading the story and shares it online. William sees Zoe's story online and uses it in his class. He tells his teacher that he wrote the story all by himself. Did William do the right thing? Let's find out. Now, when we talk about copyright law, first we need to know, what is a law? Now, a law is a rule that we must follow. If we don't follow laws, there can be punishment. Now, I have an example. An example would be a stop sign. When your parents are driving down the street and they see a stop sign, they are required to stop. If you don't stop, you can get in trouble. That would be a punishment. If it's a stop sign, it would be a police officer. There's all kinds of laws in our community that we must follow. And when we're doing research, copyright law is really important. Now, we know what a law is, so what is copyright law? Here's a fancy definition. Copyright laws are laws that protect people's creative work. Creative work can be writings, drawings, videos, art, all kinds of things. Copyright laws make sure that no one can copy work without permission from the work's owner. Now, the little C with the circle here, that is an example of something that might have a written copyright on it. You can find it in books. Sometimes you can find it at the bottom of pictures or websites. You can see this little C on lots of things. You'll probably start noticing now. Now, those things actually have a copyright in place that they wrote, and they have a license that tells they have a copyright. But even if there is no C with a circle, no copyright symbol, the copyright law still applies to that work. So even if we go on the internet and we read an article and there's no copyright there, there's no C in a circle, it doesn't tell me I have to write anything down, that information still belongs to their owner. So even if there's no symbol, we still follow copyright law to share other people's ideas and information. Now, when we talk about copyright law, there's some things we can do that are fair, and we call them fair use. They're things that are okay for us to do. They are good ideas, and we can do those things in our research anytime. There are also some things that would be considered illegal under copyright law, just like if you ran a stop sign. So if we're talking about fair use, if you went on social media and you found someone's story, just like William did when he heard Zoe's story and he used it as his own, you could DM and ask that creator for permission, or you can send them a message. Sometimes if you want an opportunity to share a book, you might have to write a letter to an author. We always ask the creator for permission if we can find that person. If we want to share a picture that someone took, we have to ask that person if we can share their picture. If we really like a song from our favorite artist and we want to share that, we have to give credit to the person who created it. Because just because it's my favorite song doesn't mean I am allowed to share it with everyone so they think it's mine. I have to tell who wrote it. Now, another fair use thing I can do is to create my own unique work. Maybe I read Zoe's writing in the story and I heard her video, but maybe I just thought about what she did and I created my own work. I did it all by myself. I didn't copy what she did. Maybe I thought her ideas were really great. Maybe they gave me something to think about, but I create my own. That would be considered fair use. And one other thing that you might see would be the opportunity to give credit to the work you have borrowed. We're going to talk about that a little bit. When you want to borrow an idea from someone else, we just write down where we got it from. That's us giving credit. That's us telling that person that we thought what they wrote down was really important and that we wanted to use it in our writing, but we had to give them credit. We had to put their name down, or we had to tell where we found that information. We're going to show you how. Now, some things that are illegal under copyright law would be if you claim someone else's work is your own. If I told someone that I wrote a story that I didn't write, that's stealing. Just like in the story, William stole Zoe's story and he did not give her any credit. I'm going to tell you how to prevent that. Now, if you don't give credit to the creator you borrowed from, even if you don't say it's your own, then you're still not giving that person credit. You're not saying where you found that information. Someone might think that you found it yourself and really you borrowed it from someone else. It would also be illegal if you just ignore the copyright laws. If you're doing research and you just decide it's not important to write things down, that's not a great idea. That would be considered illegal under copyright law, just like it would be illegal to run a stop sign, even if you saw it there. Now, when we want to give credit, it's a pretty easy thing to do. As you get older, you'll learn more steps and better ways to give credit, but for today, I'm going to show you what you can do so that you can be following copyright law. Now, I took a picture here, and I am showing you some information that you might want to use. If you were going to go back to your class and research animals, you might go to a website and find some information. So here's a screenshot of some information I found that might be helpful to someone. And over here I say, so if we are doing internet research and want to borrow ideas that we find, we need to give credit to the creator of the ideas we want to borrow. We can write down their name or the title and where we found the information. Now, when I went to this website over here, when I went to PebbleGo, when I looked at my topic, I found out there was no author listed on this information, but I did know where I found the information. I have the location of my information, and I do have a title of my article. And those two things can help someone else know where I found that information. Let me show you how we would write it down. Now, if I want to give credit, here is my example. I could go to number 1, and first I'm going to need to write down the information I want to borrow. Because this page has more information than just one fact, I'm probably not going to use all of it. It says oceans are large, deep bodies of salt water. Oceans cover 71% of Earth's surface, and millions of kinds of animals live in oceans. It depends on what I'm writing as to what I want to write down on my paper. I'm going to say that an important fact that I might want to use is that oceans cover 71% of the Earth. I think that's very interesting, and I think I might use it in my writing. So I'm going to go over to my research recording sheet, and I'm going to write down oceans cover 71% of the Earth. I wrote down that information that I want to remember. Now, underneath, you have a place to write found, and you're going to have to tell us where you found your information. I want to know, your teacher wants to know, if your friends want to know where you got your information from, or your parents, or anyone else who looks at your writing, they will know where you found your information. So since my article doesn't have an author, I can't write down an author's name. If your article does, write it down. If it doesn't, I wrote down the location and the title. Those two things would help someone find this information if they would like to. So first I wrote down PebbleGo. That is where I located my information. That is the website I was on. And then the title of my article is Ocean Animals. So if someone came to PebbleGo and they wanted to find this information there, they could type in ocean animals in the search bar and they could find this exact same information that I borrowed. And maybe they want to borrow it too. Now, when we are identifying someone's work and who it belongs to, we call it intellectual property. If I write a story, that story is my intellectual property. If you write a song, that song is your intellectual property. If you create a work of art, that is your intellectual property. But there are some things that don't count as intellectual property. So let's talk about the difference. Intellectual property, something that belongs to someone that we have to give credit to, would be things like artwork, Text, so any kind of writing, books, websites, stories that you find in your classroom, anything that's written. Videos also count, and music. All of those things are intellectual property that belong to someone, and when we use them, we need to give credit. Now, things that don't count as intellectual property are things like time, weather, someone's feelings don't count as intellectual property. It has to be something that we can get information from and give credit to, counts as intellectual property. Now, there's a big word that you will hear, especially as you get older, and it means you don't follow copyright law. Our big word is plagiarism. So, what if I don't follow copyright law? Plagiarism is a word that means you stole someone else's intellectual property, and we don't ever want to steal. When others plagiarize, they are breaking the law, and there are punishments. In our story, William plagiarized Zoe's writing. He took it to his class and he said that it was his own. He stole that story from her. Now, let's talk about what he should have done instead. Let's fix our story. Let me remind you what it said at the beginning. At the beginning, our story said, Zoe writes a story for a class assignment. She records a video of herself reading the story and shares it online. William sees Zoe's story online and uses it in his class. He tells his teacher that he wrote the story all by himself. He broke copyright law. He could get a punishment for doing that. His teacher might even give him a 0 for his grade, or he might have to call his parents and let them know what he did. Stealing someone's story is never a good idea. Now, if William learned about copyright law, let's see what he might do instead. Here's what our story might sound like now. Zoe writes a story for a class assignment. She records a video of herself reading the story and shares it online. William sees Zoe's story and he really likes her writing. William now asks Zoe if he can borrow some of her ideas and gives her credit when he shares his writing in class. This is a much better way to follow copyright law. Now William can still really like Zoe's story and he can still borrow her ideas. But this time, he's giving her credit, and there's no problems with stealing or lying. He's followed all of the copyright laws, and his teacher's probably going to be pretty impressed that he knows how to do that. Now, you are going to try doing some research today, and your teacher and I are going to use a rubric to help you see how to follow the steps that we just talked about regarding copyright law. You're going to do what I just modeled for you. Now it's your turn to try. When you return to class and begin your online research, don't forget to collect information and give credit to the source you are borrowing from. We're going to use a rubric to help grade your paper. We've used these before. Now remember, there's some goals in the middle of the rubric, and if you do them really great, you will get a note on the excellent work side. If there's something that maybe wasn't done just right or you need a little help with, we will write notes on the helpful tips so that next time when you come back, you can look at your rubric and see what you need to work on. Here's your 3 goals for today. First of all, student located online resources to gather information. So you have to get online and you have to look for information. That's your first goal. Then your second goal is going to be student records important information to use in projects. Now, when you look at that information, it's really great to go to PebbleGo and read all about oceans if you're writing about oceans, but if you don't write anything down, do you have any information to use? Not really. So you are going to make sure you record your information. You're going to have a recording sheet that has the numbers, and then you're going to have a found under all of your important facts. And that's your third goal. Just like we did on my example, under found, the student gives credit to the source using copyright knowledge. So all of these things we just talked about where we want to give credit, you need to do that today. Your goal is going to be write down either the author or the title and the location of where you found your information. Those are really important pieces of information that are going to help me and your teacher and all of your peers to know where your information came from.